Hey, Erik Collier here with the Collier Group. Today I'm going to be talking about law number 3, which is the law of exposure. Now just to recap, in our last two videos we covered a couple of really important principles. The first is the law of expertise, is how do you price and position your home for maximum effect. Number 2, how do you differentiate? What is your strategy to stand out from the crowd to help drive up the demand on your home? Today we're going to go one step further. We're going to talk about the law of exposure. And the important part of the law of exposure is to think about basic economics. In order to expose your home to the broadest amount of buyers, to articulate the features and the benefits of your home versus the others, you've got to think about a basic economic principle, which is supply and demand. And a way to think about it is to think about that price is a function of supply and demand. Price is a function of supply and demand. So think about oil and gas. Oil and gas is a commodity just like your home. And have you ever gone to the gas pump and one day it seems like that the price just shot up almost overnight? Well, that's very reflective of the supplier controlling either the supply, the abundance, or the non-supply of oil and gas. And then of course that puts an upward or downward pressure on the price. The good news is you have a key variable that you can control. You can control the supply of your home. I mean, am I right? There's only one of your home, and if you can control the supply side, then all we have to look at is how do we control the demand side. The really good thing is we're going to talk to you today about a couple of different things that you can do to create a groundswell of demand, how you can expose your home in the right areas that's going to speak to those buyers, to where that buyer, that one buyer out there, is willing to pay you everything that you want and more for your home and close it in a time acceptable to you. And so we're going to talk about how the law of exposure is going to feed into driving up the demand and how you can do that today. Now, when you think about how to do this, it really comes down to one or two things. Marketing your home. Marketing and advertising. Before you think about marketing and how you're going to market, you got to think about one key thing, and that is, what is my motivation for selling? Am I motivated? Do I need to be in Chicago for a new job in 2 months? Can I afford my mortgage? Maybe I need to liquidate and sell my home. I can't afford my payments anymore. Maybe you're having a kid, another baby, or maybe you're just going through a life change and it's time to sell. You got to ask yourself one key question, that is, how motivated am I? Right? Because that's going to dictate your marketing budget. And here at the Collier Group, we really feel that there is a positive correlation between spending money and making money. Now, the average home that goes on the market, the person controlling that listing, whether it's an owner or an agent, only spends on average $39 to market and advertise that home. And that's really unacceptable. That does nothing. That literally just scratches the surface. So when you're talking about marketing budget, you've got to spend money to make money. But before you do that, you have to think about what is a smart allocation of my dollar. Not all dollars are created equal. I mean, think about it like this. I could post my home on a website that virtually gets no traffic, or I could take that same energy, that same resource, that same dollar, and I could do it in a different way, and I'm going to get completely different results. And that's what we're talking about here today. The other thing that you really want to think about is by understanding what your market penetration strategy is. Do you want to go deep in these effective areas, or do you just want to go wide? Well, we believe in a deep, not wide market penetration strategy because you're going to make way more money and you're not going to dilute yourself and spread yourself too thin. Okay, so marketing and exposure. Now, where to find the buyers? Because that's really who we're going after, right? Marketing is supposed to attract buyers. Well, when you think about where buyers are buying today, you have to understand that 90% today use the internet. 90% use the internet. And Google says that right now there are 918 million websites to look at homes, to search for homes, home buying websites. And Google owns about 81% of the search traffic when looking for a home. Bing, 6%, and Yahoo gets about 12% market share. Okay, so Google by far is the #1 place to search for buyers. Now, since there's 918 million websites all across the internet, that's a perfect example of going wide, not deep. What we have done is we've figured out a way to syndicate our listings, which has been just great for us. We leverage the local MLS and use the local MLS as a clearinghouse to push out our listing to only the websites that are going to get us the highest return on investment. Out of the 918 websites, we have whittled away and combed through all of these websites with a little bit of help. We hadn't done it on our own, but we've got some resources to do this, and we found that there are 331 websites that own most of the internet traffic. And so what we do is we put our homes on 331 separate, unique websites, both locally, domestically, and even internationally, because really the strategy needs to be leave no stone unturned. This is an example of a deep market penetration strategy instead of trying to chase all these different websites. You can spend the same amount of money, but you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck here. Now, if you're on a limited budget, maybe you're selling the house yourself, an easy way that you can get some of the exposure here is by doing it on a smaller scale. And you could very easily post your home on Craigslist. The upside is it's completely free. It only takes a few minutes to do that. The downside, though, is that if you're not on the first page, you're rarely getting seen. So you've got to constantly refresh and update that page. So it takes a little bit more involvement. The other thing that you can do is that you can do a flat fee MLS. Some people are doing this. They give a company a flat fee and they get MLS exposure. And then they're on just a couple of different websites. And that could be beneficial. The upside there is it's only going to cost you about $600 or $700. The downside is that there's no guarantee that that's going to be effective. The studies have shown, actually, according to the National Association of Realtors, that just putting your home online on the MLS and that being your one-pronged strategy doesn't work. And it certainly doesn't do a lot to get your home exposed, and it certainly doesn't do anything at all, really, in contrast to some of the other things that you can do to drive up an excessive amount of demand on your home and influence your final sales price. So 331 separate unique websites is what we do. Another thing that can actually influence the sales price of your home is how you show your home, right? Okay, so since a lot of buyers are on the internet has replaced the first showing. I mean, how easy is it, right? You sit in front of your computer and you can look at hundreds of thousands of homes. And most consumers look at hundreds of listings, and then they pick their favorites, and then they put them in a possibilities folder or a favorites folder. And then those are the ones that will eventually go out in person and see. A thing that you can do is you can hire a professional photographer. Professional photos. Okay. Professional photos definitely makes a big difference, and I can speak from experience. We've had some clients that we have gone ahead and put professional photos online, and we have seen a great amount of results from that. And the reason being is because, number one, it stands out. If you've done internet searches, you've seen bad photos and you've seen good photos. It absolutely makes a difference. And you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So the upside is you can have a photographer come in and they can use a special camera, a high quality camera with a nice lens that opens up the room, and it showcases the best features and benefits of your home for all the buyers to see. And since the internet has replaced the first showing, that's one step closer to a comeback or a person that would come out and take a look at your home in person, and that could be your one buyer. The downside to professional photos is that it could run you about $80 to $100 to do that. But again, if you're motivated to sell your home, this is going to be that one extra edge that can get your home sold quickly and be reflected in your final sales price in the end. Professional photos are a good idea. The second thing is professional copywriting. Have you ever looked at a listing and the words and the descriptions were just very vanilla, very boring, very generic, and didn't do anything to motivate and excite you? It's because they were missing a couple of key ingredients. You got to remember from our past videos that consumers today, they make decisions based upon emotion, right here, right? What they feel is right, what they see is right, and what they hear is being right, right? Okay, so if I make a decision emotionally, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to later base it upon logic, right? I'm going to try to create reasons in my head why I did something. Well, when you're copywriting, the description, how you present your home, not only in photos, but of course the words that you use can mean a huge difference. Psychologically, there are three types of people. There are people that are visual, and they need to see something in order to be convinced. There's another side to it, which are auditory. People that need to hear things. It sounds right. Things just click. It has a certain ring to it. And then, of course, the third one is people that have to have a certain feeling, right? Things just have a way of feeling right. And those people are called kinesthetic. That's their language. So you've got visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. A professional copywriter is going to do a good job of blending in all of those personality types or all of those different words that will hit those hot buttons effectively. And what you're doing is you're really tripling your market penetration there. You're talking to three types of buyers instead of limiting yourself to one. So the professional copywriting is a very, very big deal. Now, the law of exposure, we've just scratched the surface. There's a whole lot more that goes into this. I just wanted to talk to you about a couple of the things that have the biggest impacts. And believe me, if you manage the variables involved here and you do it correctly, you will see an appreciable gain of 3 to 5% toward your final sales price. So that was the law of exposure. Next time, we're going to be talking about the law of cooperation. The law of cooperation is how do we work with buyers' agents. Now, 71% of the total market, so 71% of the home buyers that purchase a home leverage the services of a buyer's agent. So now that you've got all of the unrepresented buyers covered through your internet marketing, what is a targeted marketing approach to serve those 71%? What can you do to lure in the other realtors? And how can you push their buttons so they will bring in their clients and influence the purchasing decision? That's going to be next time in our next video, law number 4. You certainly don't want to miss that one.